New roads.
You can call this the Motown Move. New Yorkers taking a break from their busy city to check out what Detroit has to offer.
It's a concept aimed at getting people to think about our amazing city. Jennifer Bisram with the story in tonight's Detroit 2020 report.
From New York City to the Motor City, BK to the D, people are making the Motown move.
In New York, you have to think in inches. In Detroit, you can think in miles.
Detroit is a much more collaborative place than New York. New York is much more competitive.
Detroit really loves its art.
One reason why the Galapagos Art Space, a performance center and cultural staple in Brooklyn for nearly 20 years, is now here.
In New York, we had a building that was 9,000 square feet, and here, this structure that we're looking at, this series of buildings, this campus is 300,000 square feet.
And if you want to compare numbers, Robert Elms, executive director of the art space, who's also designing this new space in Highland Park, says his average rent in New York was about $18,000 a month. And get this, he purchased this entire property for about $25,000.
So what can people expect from Galapagos once it opens here in Detroit?
You can imagine a wide array of science programming, of theater, of dance, cinema, TED Talks, etc.
Set to open next summer, Elms says he's looking forward to developing Detroit artists and having a thriving business here.
If you were to come here, you could get out of your car, you can park here, you can walk through our space. Imagine a gallery on the right, a gallery on the left.
Philip Kafka, a New Yorker who's quickly becoming a Detroiter too, is hoping the same for Katoy, his New York-styled Thai restaurant set to open on Michigan Avenue in Corktown this year.
So this is the main area. This is like the heart of everything.
There will be a lot of Michigan ingredients, but cooked in sort of Thai-style, Thai philosophy.
I love the building. It's an artifact of old Detroit. It used to be a garage built in the 1920s.
He's also the man behind several billboards like Detroit Now Hiring, hanging high in Brooklyn, a campaign that quickly went graffiti, with Move to Detroit spray painted on walls and bridges throughout the New York borough, known for its brownstones and bustling artists.
That's kind of nervy to be slapping Move to Detroit all over New York City. Tell me where that came from and why.
The concept isn't to get people to move to Detroit, but to get people who are curious and are frustrated with New York to start thinking about Detroit.
These two young ladies weren't frustrated, but wanted to connect Detroit and New York City creativity.
All of the work in this room is by our first featured artist.
Paulina, a fashion designer, and Samantha, a jewelry designer, both lived in New York too, and together started Playground Detroit, an arts organization that connects artists in both cities. They now have a crafty room in Corktown.
There's a lot of people living between New York and Detroit. There's a lot of expats that are based in New York now. So there is a kind of a transit community that goes back and forth.
In Detroit, we have a plethora of space. So this is kind of where artists are flocking to.
And that's one reason why this artist, an owner of 2 coffee shops in the Metro Detroit area, moved from New York 5 years ago.
I'm very proud to employ locals.
At this West Village location, you can get a latte, pastry, and some artistry in one stop.
We have illustrations, we have paintings, we have flowers from a local florist.
But she admits her business has a touch of New York.
I lived in Red Hook before we moved to Detroit, and our coffee is roasted weekly for us in Red Hook, Brooklyn.
While these business owners say they will always have a piece of New York in them.
What's one thing you miss about Brooklyn?
Public transportation.
I miss being able to walk out and have a lot of people surrounding you.
For now, they are pure Michigan.
Brooklyn, forget about it. I'm not going to miss Brooklyn.
In Detroit, Jennifer Bisram, 7 Action News.
I lived in New York